For decades, aviation has symbolized progress, globalization, and human ambition, a world where giant machines defy gravity and connect continents in mere hours. Yet behind the polished cabins, smiling crew members, and breathtaking views above the clouds lies one of the most fragile business models ever created. An industry that moves billions of people each year, but somehow struggles to consistently make money. A paradox so extreme that a single global crisis, fuel spike, or economic shift can wipe out entire airlines overnight. And today's passengers rarely realize that the ticket they hold might belong to a company already standing on the edge of financial collapse. Because in modern aviation, bankruptcy is not an exception but a recurring cycle. A silent storm repeatedly reshaping the global airline map. Airlines appear massive and powerful, but financially they operate on razor-thin margins, often between 1 and 3% profit in good years. Meaning even a minor disruption can erase annual earnings instantly. And unlike most industries, airlines cannot simply slow production during downturns. Aircraft leases, airport slots, maintenance contracts, and staff salaries continue regardless of passenger demand, forcing airlines to keep flying even when flights lose money. A dangerous necessity that builds debt quietly in the background while passengers remain unaware of the mounting pressure inside corporate balance sheets. Fuel alone can account for up to 40% of operating costs, and because fuel prices fluctuate, airlines gamble constantly on hedging strategies, sometimes winning enormous savings, but often locking themselves into expensive contracts just before oil prices fall, instantly placing them at a competitive disadvantage, while competitors buying fuel cheaper can sell lower fares, triggering price wars that rapidly destroy profitability across entire regions. Then comes competition, perhaps the most destructive force in aviation economics. Because unlike luxury industries, airlines sell an almost identical product, a seat from one city to another, and passengers overwhelmingly choose price over brand loyalty. Meaning even premium carriers must match low fares during weak demand periods, creating a race to the bottom where revenue per seat drops below operating cost, and the only way to survive temporarily becomes borrowing money to continue flying in hopes demand returns later. But demand is unpredictable, tied directly to global economic confidence, and history repeatedly shows that when recessions arrive, business travel collapses first, eliminating the most profitable passengers overnight, leaving aircraft filled with low-fare leisure travelers who cannot sustain operational expenses, transforming profitable routes into loss-making obligations almost instantly. Airlines attempt expansion during good years, ordering new aircraft to capture future demand. Yet these orders become burdens during downturns because deliveries cannot easily be cancelled, forcing companies to accept expensive planes they no longer need, increasing debt exactly when revenue falls. And so prosperity, ironically, plants the seeds of bankruptcy years in advance. Labor adds another complex dimension, because aviation requires highly trained pilots, engineers, and safety staff. And their contracts extend long into the future, preventing rapid cost reductions, meaning when revenue drops, airlines cannot reduce expenses fast enough, leading to mounting losses month after month until cash reserves evaporate. As a result, airlines rarely collapse suddenly. Instead, they slowly bleed financially, relying on loans, investors, or government support while publicly projecting confidence. Yet internally, management monitors daily cash burn rates, calculating how many weeks remain before they cannot pay fuel suppliers. And once suppliers demand advance payment, the collapse becomes inevitable. The first visible sign for passengers is often subtle: reduced routes, fewer frequencies, aging cabins, unpaid refunds, and aggressive promotions offering extremely cheap tickets simply to generate immediate cash flow. But by the time travelers notice these symptoms, the airline may already be negotiating restructuring behind closed doors. Bankruptcy protection, particularly in some regions, allows airlines to continue operating while reorganizing debt, a legal lifeline that can save companies, yet also normalizes financial failure within the industry, creating an environment where airlines repeatedly enter restructuring cycles instead of achieving stable profitability, emerging leaner but still vulnerable to the next crisis. Then global shocks arrive: financial crashes, pandemics, geopolitical tensions, or sudden airspace closures. And these events expose the underlying fragility instantly. because airlines depend on continuous movement. And when movement stops, revenue drops to near zero, while expenses remain enormous, creating catastrophic losses within weeks. The pandemic era demonstrated this vulnerability, dramatically grounding fleets worldwide and eliminating demand almost completely, forcing airlines to survive purely on emergency financing, asset sales, and government rescue packages. And while some carriers survived thanks to state support, others disappeared forever, proving that size does not guarantee safety in aviation. Yet even after crises pass, the danger does not disappear, because airlines emerge carrying unprecedented debt accumulated during survival, turning future profits into repayment obligations, trapping companies in years of financial weakness, where any small disruption can again push them toward insolvency. Passengers often assume ticket prices reflect comfort or service quality, but in reality, prices frequently reflect desperation, as airlines sell seats below cost simply to generate immediate liquidity, a practice unsustainable long-term but necessary short-term, slowly accelerating financial collapse while appearing attractive to travelers searching for bargains. Thus, the aviation industry lives in a perpetual balancing act, growing during optimism and collapsing during uncertainty. And every decade witnesses another wave of bankruptcies reshaping route networks, alliances, and employment across continents. And now the industry enters a new era of rising bankruptcies again, driven by high fuel costs, aircraft shortages, supply chain delays, staff shortages, inflation, and changing travel patterns, forming a perfect storm eerily similar to past collapse cycles, suggesting history is repeating itself once more. This is not merely the story of individual companies failing. It is the story of a business model fundamentally vulnerable to volatility, where even full airplanes do not guarantee profit, and where success depends not only on passengers, but on global stability itself, a condition rarely permanent in the modern world. As financial pressure grows across carriers worldwide, analysts increasingly warn that another consolidation wave is approaching, one that will redefine which airlines survive the decade and which become memories. Because in aviation, survival belongs not to the biggest airline, but to the most financially disciplined one. And the unsettling truth is this: somewhere right now, an aircraft is boarding passengers under a brand name that may not exist in a few months, flying normally, operating safely, and appearing stable, while accountants in corporate offices calculate the remaining days before insolvency protection becomes unavoidable, marking the quiet beginning of another airline bankruptcy. The modern airline industry now stands at a crossroads where recovery and collapse exist simultaneously. Passenger numbers are returning globally, yet profitability remains uncertain because costs have risen faster than revenue. Fuel prices fluctuate unpredictably. Airport fees increase. Labor demands higher wages after years of instability. And aircraft delivery delays prevent efficiency improvements, creating an environment where airlines operate fuller flights but earn less money per passenger than expected. Low-cost carriers once reshaped aviation by simplifying service and reducing expenses. But even they now face structural pressure because ultra-cheap fares depend on high aircraft utilization and consistent demand. Conditions increasingly disrupted by staffing shortages, air traffic control limitations, and unpredictable travel trends, meaning even the most efficient models cannot guarantee immunity from bankruptcy cycles. Meanwhile, full-service carriers rely heavily on premium cabins and long-haul routes. Yet corporate travel behavior has permanently shifted as remote communication replaces many business trips, reducing the highest margin revenue source airlines depended on for decades, forcing companies to reconsider network strategies and aircraft investments made for a different era. Debt accumulated during survival years now becomes the industry's greatest threat because repayment schedules collide with operational recovery, turning profits into obligations and preventing financial stabilization. And investors increasingly hesitate to fund airlines without clear restructuring plans, leaving weaker carriers vulnerable to sudden liquidity crises. Mergers and acquisitions often follow bankruptcy waves, presented as consolidation but effectively representing survival of the financially strong, reducing competition on some routes while improving stability overall. Yet these mergers also reshape travel choices for passengers, sometimes reducing service to smaller cities as airlines focus on profitable hubs. Governments face difficult decisions regarding bailouts, balancing economic connectivity with financial responsibility because airlines support tourism, trade, and national economies. But repeated rescues create dependency and discourage sustainable financial discipline, leading policymakers to reconsider when intervention is justified and when market forces must prevail. Technology offers hope, yet requires investment. Newer aircraft promise lower fuel consumption and maintenance costs. Digital optimization improves scheduling efficiency, and advanced revenue management increases profitability. But airlines must survive long enough financially to implement these improvements, creating a paradox where innovation exists, but affordability limits adoption. Environmental regulation adds another layer of complexity, as sustainability requirements increase operating costs. Through fuel alternatives and carbon programs, essential for long-term global responsibility yet challenging for already fragile financial structures, especially for smaller carriers competing against larger groups with greater capital access. Passengers may notice changes subtly: fewer route options, dynamic pricing fluctuations, stricter baggage policies, and denser seating. These are not merely commercial strategies but survival mechanisms. Airlines adjusting every variable possible to maintain cash flow in a volatile economic climate. Ultimately, the industry may evolve toward fewer but stronger airlines operating more stable networks, prioritizing resilience over rapid expansion, focusing on profitability rather than market share, a shift away from the historical growth at all costs mindset that repeatedly triggered bankruptcy cycles. Yet aviation will never eliminate risk entirely because it depends on global stability, economic confidence, and human mobility patterns. Factors no airline can control, meaning bankruptcies will not disappear but may become less chaotic as financial discipline improves. For travelers, this means reliability may increase even if fares fluctuate, and loyalty may return as passengers value stability over ultra-cheap tickets, gradually transforming the psychology of airline competition from price wars to sustainability. The skies will always remain busy because humanity's desire to travel never fades, but the companies operating those flights will continue changing, names disappearing while new ones emerge, reflecting the constant economic turbulence behind the illusion of smooth flight. In the end, aviation teaches a powerful lesson about modern business reality. Size does not equal security. Popularity does not equal profitability. And even industries essential to global society must constantly adapt or vanish. And every boarding pass represents not just a journey across distance, but participation in an economic balancing act performed thousands of meters above the ground. So the next time a passenger looks out of the window at cruising altitude, watching clouds drift beneath the wing, it is worth remembering that flight itself is stable, but the companies providing it rarely are, because airlines do not fail due to lack of demand, but due to the immense complexity of sustaining global mobility. And as long as the world continues changing faster than financial models can predict, airline bankruptcies will remain part of aviation's story, not as rare disasters, but as recurring chapters in the endless effort to keep humanity connected across the skies.